Hey, shalom, shalom, all praises, honor, glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to you fellow brothers pushing out this word in truth and sincerity. Shabbat Chanak, coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. All right, shalom to all the believers out there fighting for their faith in these wicked, evil times. All right, so this is going to be, I'm not sure what I'm a name this video. I worked that out. But basically, this is just, speaking about the prophecy of World War III and how we're pretty much in the beginning stages of World War III. There's multiple fronts that are opening. All right, a new front, or I should say an old front, which is Iran versus Israel, has been escalating over the last week. And the escalations have not slowed down. Okay, we don't know exactly, the move, the moves that the Most High is going to make concerning, all the little small details of how everything is going to be moved towards the MOTB system. But we do have a, you can say, somewhat a precise understanding of the major players that are going to be the ones to look out for. When I speak of the players, meaning the different nations in which this World War III will be commenced or started. And what I have here is just a small clip from Jason A. It is this small clip here that I wanted to play, just a few seconds, about Russia. And we know Russia, Gog, okay, biblically is known as Gog. All right, they are a major player in biblical prophecy, and we're starting to see Russia speak on. I'm gonna let you listen to it, but basically, Russia's going to enter into the war. Okay, when we see Russia come in and start backing these other nations, we know we're even closer to World War III. World War III ultimately will not start as far as nuclear missiles are involved. There's going to be a buildup, but as far as nuclear missiles are involved, the nuclear missiles as a whole are not going to be shot off until this MOTB system, the mark of the beast, is administered, okay, to the whole world. Now they're going to do this under the disguise of chaos, order out of chaos. This is the motto, all right, of the wicked elite. They're going to use this chaos in order to push this technology upon the people. Let me play a little bit of this clip here. We'll get a couple of scriptures. This is kind of like a little update of what's going on. So a lot of things are happening. They're still going at it. They're still shooting missiles at each other. It hasn't slowed down. We'll see how the Most High, how he moves his chess pieces.
Especially.
Hold on. Let me go back. I'm gonna probably have to read it. Oh, no. Yeah, let's play from the beginning.
По известному соглашению, о котором мы сейчас упомянули. Все. К Ирану не...
It says that is, no claims can be made against Iran when the United States unilaterally from the agreement and the Europeans continue. Let me just hold on. I sped it up. Let me slow it down because I can't read that fast. Let me slow it down. Let me go normal. It's going quick. Let's do that again. Iran has been fulfilling all of its obligations. Okay, under the famous agreement that we just mentioned. Yeah, that was a nuclear agreement. Back when Trump was in office beforehand, he pulled out of the nuclear agreement. So this has actually been all set up to go into Iran. They want regime change in Iran. They want to control Iran. They want Iran to be under the banner of the NWO. Okay. That's what it's about. But again, all right, Russia is going to intervene. Okay, and when that happens, we'll get the scripture. Russia is going to be a guard unto Iran and these other nations. Okay, Turkey also is going to get involved. And we're seeing all these major players, according to biblical prophecy, start to make moves. Before we go there, let me go to Proverbs 21. Because we know, according to the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, the God of heaven and earth and his son, we know that they actually control the heart, the mind of the kings, the minds of the leaders. Okay, none of these leaders are doing anything, okay, of their own, on their own will. Everything is being done by the will of the Heavenly Father, are to usher in ultimately the kingdom of heaven. But before the kingdom of heaven is established, destruction, okay, as well as this MOTB system, the devil coming down unto you, Revelation 12:12, has to be administered, okay? Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will, okay? It's the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, all right, through his son Yahweh Shai, that are controlling Putin, that's controlling Erdogan, okay, which is the prime minister or the president of Turkey, that's controlling Netanyahu, that demon, okay, the prime minister of Israel, that's controlling Donald J. Nero Trump, the president of America, okay, that's controlling the leadership of Iran, okay, he's in control, okay, so every escalation is an escalation moving towards World War III, as the scriptures say, the third woe cometh quickly. Let me get that. Revelation 11:14. And the seventh, verse 14. The second woe is past. Second woe is speaking about World War II. Woe meaning destruction. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And we see the third woe, I mean, it's upon us. And they're talking about there's Israeli terror cells in America, okay, that's going to create chaos and, terroristic attacks upon America, the American people, upon American infrastructure. And as I was kind of meditating about the things that are going on between Iran and Israel, and how Americans never really suffered this. They never really had fear of missiles dropping down on them, okay, any given time. Them Iranians and them Israelis, they're under heavy fear, the population, even the leadership, because you have Israel that's targeting the leadership of Iran, taking them out, decapitation strikes, all at one time, boom, 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 boom. You American people, you've never experienced anything like that, but that's going to also come, okay. There's going to be a quaking in the land. There's going to be well, let me get Luke. Is that Luke 21? Luke 21, right? Talks about 21 and yep. Luke 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. Okay, these are different lunar eclipses, solar eclipses, planet alignments, okay, different shooting star, different, comets, different signs in the heavens. The sun, the moon, the stars were set up for signs as well, lights, but also as for signs. Okay. It says, and upon the earth the stress of nations, because when all out war starts, there's going to be a collapse in all these global trade routes, okay, like the Strait of Hormuz, which 20% of the world's gas, oil, goes through the Strait of Hormuz. In Iran, they can seize that and stop the flow of oil, as well as other goods, from coming out of that strait. And what is that going to do? That's going to increase, okay, that's going to increase the inflation. Okay, that's going to increase the inflation in energy. Okay, and every energy runs everything. Okay, you need fuel. Okay, so-called fossil fuels. All right, this electric shit, that's bullshit. You can't run. The society is not built up to run on electricity. It's built to run on fossil fuels. Okay, you have a lot of choke points of trade routes that can be blocked by the enemy, which is going to cause a lot of distress. Famine's going to hit. Disease is going to hit. Remember, most of your goods here in America, they come from different countries, mainly China. All right, with perplexity. All right, perplexity meaning, the ultimate meaning lack of resources, which is going to put you in a confused state. Because you people here in America, you've been so accustomed to having anything that you want at any given time. Okay, you Jakes here in America that's been comfortable. You can just go to the store. You got a good job. You can go to the store, pick up your goods, do this, do that. Plan a birthday party, plan a party, a baby shower. Okay, we got to get the chicken. We got to get some ribs. We got to, we're gonna put some hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill. Get the buns. You've never been in a state where everywhere you go, there's long ass lines. There's people fighting for the last, hot dog bun, or there's no goods. Okay, not even cans of beans. That's gonna cause a lot of distress. The sea and the waves roaring, men's heart failing them for fear. See. You're going to have people on the earth, all right, that's going to be afraid. Why? And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, right? Because the outlook, me and Apostle Ron, we did a video yesterday. We went live. We was, doing in transit, coming out to Houston, Memphis. All right, these are dark days because the days are getting darker, meaning as Yahushua spoke about, and I want to get that. Let me hold that. Matthew 24. Yahushua spoke of, I was kind of meditating on that either last night or it was this morning. I can't really tell. I forget. I'll just meditate on that chapter. I was going to end up reading it, but we'll read some of it in a bit. Okay, how the Lord spoke of the days of sorrow. Now, back then, it was speaking about, it was also, it's like twofold because you had 70 AD that was getting ready to take place. So now what's going to happen is you're going to have like a new 70 AD, you could say, where the government is going to come against you Israelites, where there's going to be famine, there's going to be a lot of death, there's going to be destruction. But this actually symbolizes the complete end, okay, of Esau's system. But before the end of this man's system, a great shaking, a great distress. Oh, there we go. Back in Luke 21. Give me a second. I'm just sipping some tea. Cayenne pepper tea. Okay. A very powerful herb. This is not medical advice. Very powerful herb. It's going to help with all forms of lack of circulation. This is a heart herb as well. I would start, if you're very sensitive, I would start with 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper tea 2 to 3 times daily. Work your way up to 1/4 teaspoon. And then from 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon 3 times daily. That's about all you need. You don't need too much more. I mean, to heal other things, you'll have to use a higher dosage. But if you use at least a 1/2 teaspoon 2 to 3 times a day, you do that for 6 months. Okay, your circulation is going to increase in all, and it's going to help with any ailment, especially when there's a lack of circulation. Let me continue. Men's heart failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And when you have videos like this, right, there's so many, going into these attacks and how there's rumor of attacks here in America or rumors of World War III. Yahushua spoke about that, wars and rumors of war. We'll get that, Lord's will, okay? You have people that are very afraid. You have individuals that are in the military that don't want to fight. They don't want to go and fight. of this war, but they're going to be sent to this war. You're going to have the draft is coming back. That's going to be a different time in America. Okay? And that's upon us. Okay? We're one black swan event away. Okay, from these things taking root in the earth. Okay? I'm reading it. It says that is let's go back a little bit. Now let's just continue. Let's just continue. No claims can be made against Iran. Then the United States unilaterally decided to withdraw. It's talking about the JCPOA. All right, the nuclear treaty that it had with Iran. Iran wasn't supposed to enrich so much uranium, and with that, they'll allow Iran basically to, be a world. Basically, allow Iran to be in the world market and to sell their goods and to trade and all that, and other certain things. Because you have Iran that has a lot of sanctions on Iran that's trying to cripple their society. And this is Putin speaking. From the agreement, and the Europeans continue to demand from Iran that it's fulfilled its obligation. Yeah, Iran was fulfilling its obligations, and the Americans pulled out of it. So Putin's like, well, you pulled out of it, right? I'm sorry, but that's just nonsense, right? Because you have America and the so-called so-called Europeans, okay, the EU, NATO, the beast, saying, Iran, you need to continue to keep up with your end of the bargain. Iran didn't pull out of the agreement. The U.S. did. Former President Trump made a decision to withdraw from the agreement, and it wasn't his decision. He don't know what the hell is going on. He's just a puppet. All right, the presidents. They're just puppets. You have the wicked elite that's behind the scenes, that's orchestrating all this madness. All right, and that pulling out of that treaty was a step closer to actually trying to take over Iran, regime change, okay, and possible nuclear strikes. All right, to scare the earth. All right, and going into this new system. And the Europeans were saying, yeah, it's not good that the Americans pulled out. But you Iranians must comply with everything. Why the hell should Iranians do it? Sorry, it sounds a bit rude in Russia. Okay, see that? So I'm going to let you hear this.
Warning the U.S. against providing any direct military aid to Israel. How significant is that warning, especially coming from Russia in this moment?
Yeah, well,
Let's run that back.
Is that, as we know, Russia...
С какого хрена так одеваться, извините, так по-русски звучит грубовато немножко.
Especially as we know, Russia now warning the U.S. against providing any direct military aid to Israel. How significant is that warning?
See that? Russia is warning America not to give any military aid, any more military aid, okay, to Israel. Okay?
Especially coming from Russia in this moment.
Yeah, well, I think the threat from Russia is possible. I think there's a much...
See, the threat from Russia is possible. Russia plays a big part in end-time prophecy. Gog, from the land of Magog. Okay?
Threat, if we were to get involved, to Iranian forces directly attacking U.S. forces in the region.
See, so they're saying that there's a threat of Iran attacking U.S. forces in that region. You got a lot of, America's they're spread very thin. There's actually been an evacuation of, a partial evacuation in some of those Gulf areas that Esau occupies, like Bahrain and stuff like that. There's military bases, those Arab Emirates, those places, those bases where America is in the Gulf.
Or worse, Iranian proxy forces striking U.S. forces. Again, we've got, somewhere between, troops arrayed across 8 to, 15 bases throughout the region. Baghdad, Kuwait, Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq, the UAE, Bahrain. This is why we've ordered the partial evacuation of the embassy in Baghdad and provided resources for withdrawal of U.S. defense.
See, so here it is. You have a conflict with Israel and Iran, right? And Russia is starting to step in, and you're starting to hear more. You're starting to hear Russia condemn it and say, "Hey, look, you better not send any more." Okay, Russia warns U.S. against direct military aid to Israel. See, I might title the video that. Okay, let me see something. Let me say Russia warns U.S. Warns U.S. to stop arming Israel. See, right there. There's some news on this. This is all 1 day ago. This is new. Cause the strikes between Iran, all right, and Israel, because Israel, they did a preemptive strike on Iran to try to so-called cripple, all right, their nuclear facilities. Okay, because Iran is not allowed, okay, to, all right, have a nuclear weapon. They're not allowed to enrich uranium above a particular percent. Okay, and that JCPOA, that nuclear deal that Trump pulled out of, was pretty much, okay, the block, the restriction on them, and they're like, hey, okay, we won't do it. We don't even want a nuclear. We won't do it. Now, were they doing it behind the scenes? Who knows? Who cares? But we do know that Russia is going to step in. Right? This is from Yahoo News. Russia warns U.S. against military intervention in Iran-Israel war. Why is Russia? Why does Russia have anything to say? Aren't they fighting against U.S. Okay, in Ukraine? That's a war with America's proxy. Ukraine, they're fighting Russia. Okay, now another front is opening up that Russia may be involved, that may get involved in. Well, we know Russia will get involved in. We know that. It's just a matter of when. And that's a major escalation. Okay? That's a major escalation. Let's read a little bit. Russia on Thursday, which this is today. Okay, this is today. Because the Russia's been kind of, they haven't really said much. Not that I've seen. They haven't really came out publicly and said too much. But now they're warning. Okay, Russia on Thursday warned the United States not to take military action against Iran amid speculations over whether Washington would enter the war alongside Israel. Yeah, because the so-called news is, okay, America may, or the threat is America may enter into the war with Israel. Okay, they may enter in the war. Trump is, it's all political theater. Oh, maybe we might. I told Iran to make a deal. It was a great deal. They didn't want to make a deal. He got 5 hours to make a deal or a day to make a deal. He didn't want to make the deal, so we might have to intervene in there. We don't want to do it. We don't want to fight, but hey, we might have to do it. Iran can't have a nuclear missile. Okay. And they've been saying about Iran having a nuclear missile for the last 40 years. So why all of a sudden now? Okay, well, it's time. Okay, the Mossad is speeding things up. Okay, in the midst of that, you have this last layoffs because of AI. Okay, economic downturn. Okay, Israel launched give me a second. Every time I go to speak. Israel launched an unprecedented wave of strikes at Iran last week, to which Tehran responded with missiles and drone attacks. Moscow is one of Iran's most important allies, with the two deepening military cooperation and inking a strategic partnership agreement just months ago. Okay? But the Kremlin has not provided military support to Iran in the face of Israeli airstrikes. And President Vladimir Putin is pitching himself as a possible mediator, even as he condemns Israel. Right. So you would think, all right, Iran is under attack, right? And they have this agreement, Russia and Iran, they have this agreement, okay, of, backing up Iran, right? Military and economic partnership. But Russia has not intervened. Now, are they doing it through other proxies or other channels? Who knows? But they have not publicly intervened. Okay? But now they're starting to say, hey, no, because America's like, hey, we going to intervene. And Russia's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You don't want to do that. Okay? And see, the scriptures say that the least of the flock shall draw them out. Let's actually get that. Okay? Let's get that. Jeremiah. It's in 49 and 50. Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he has taken against Edom. See? So these Edomites, they're done, man. This ushers in their destruction. They believe that, and it talks about teaming their wise men. They believe that this is going to, help solidify. This is all part of the plan. It's going to help solidify their NW to the O, which they will be able to, actually apply the pressure upon the people and get the people to take the sea hip, the majority of the earth. But see, that marks the end of their rule. Okay, their light is getting ready to be put out, and his purpose, that he has purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. That's the state of Israel. Those are the Amalekites, Amalek. Okay, the imposters, because they're the ones that are conjugating all this war. Okay, they was the so-called false flag was January. I forget September 19th or whatever. October the 9th or the 19th, where so-called Hamas came in on, parachute troopers and captured a whole bunch of people and killed a whole bunch of Israelis, and then there's just been an onslaught of the Israeli military. Okay, fighting the Palestinians, Hamas, right? And then then all of a sudden it switched from Hamas. Then they start fighting the Lebanese, Hezbollah, and they decapitated Hezbollah, and their what's it called? Their military forces. Decapitation strikes on leadership. With the pager attacks. Okay, but before that, and then they struck. After that, they wanted to smoke. Israel wants to smoke. They're the antagonists. Then they struck. I believe, was it in Syria? I believe it was in Syria. The Israeli is the Iranian consulate. It wasn't in Syria, I believe. Basically, it was an embassy in Syria. I believe it was Syria, and Israel fucking struck it and hit, important military generals of Iran. They're always doing, backhanded shit, assassinations to try to stop the IRGC, the Iranian, like the Iranian Defense Force or the Iranian government. Okay, assassinations. Now they struck nuclear facilities. Okay, now all of a sudden America's, hey, because Israel getting bombed. Their Their Iron Dome is being depleted. They say they got two. Who knows? You know, you got to take all this with a grain of salt. But what we do know, according to prophecy, all these major players, Israel, United States, Iran, Russia. We're going to hear more with Turkey. Okay. All these major players are starting to have more of aggressive rhetoric against each other. And you have individuals that are actually fighting. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Because at the end of the day, all these nations are going to shoot missiles on America, as well as the land of Israel. All right, that's going to be completely annihilated, all right, through nuclear destruction. Okay, let's go back. I'm back in the article. We would like to particularly warn, Washington against military intervention in this situation. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told reporters. U.S. President Donald Trump has said Wednesday he was considering join Israel's strikes on Iran. I may do it, I may not do it, he said. See? He also rejected Russia's offer to broker peace. So here it is. Russia wants to get with the United States to help broker peace. And what happened? The United States said, no, we don't want peace. So these Edomites, they want blood, man. Blood is nothing to them. They want this war. You got war hawks. They want this war. This is all part of their agenda to bring everybody to their knees, to kill off a whole bunch of people, and to what? To implement their MOTB system. Saying he told Putin to resolve the Ukraine conflict first. Okay? So, I mean, that's it on that. There's more in the article. There's other articles. See? Russia tells U.S. not to strike Iran. Warns of nuclear catastrophe. See? Yeah, because there is going to be a nuclear catastrophe. Okay? Missiles are going to be shot off here in America. Okay? There could be also like a strategic nuclear strike, a dirty bomb. Who knows? Something big is going to happen. That's going to change up everything. As well as we're going to a digital system as well. Everything's going to be turned digital. Okay? So there's, these are these different articles on that, right? We read that in Jeremiah 49. Let me hold Ezekiel. We're going to, start wrapping it up. Ezekiel 38. Right? And we'll read. Let me see if there's any more in this video. Let's play a little bit more.
Inside of Bahrain, they're all within range of Iranian ballistic missiles, and they're all within range of Iranian proxy forces who have been attacking U.S. forces for probably since 1979, but certainly in our most recent experience since 2003. So we're all well versed in the Iranian playbook and attacking U.S. forces using proxy forces.
You see that they're always going, and this is tactic of war. They're blaming the enemy. Of course, yeah. They're blaming the enemy, but the whole time they're at fault. The Edomite is at fault. He is the person of chaos. He is the agent of chaos on the whole planet Earth. Okay? He covets fields and take them by violence. Why is he in those regions? Why is he in Bahrain? All right, why is he in the UAE? All right, why is he in Syria? Okay, why is he in all those areas? Why is he in Taiwan? We can go on and on. I did a video. I just Googled how many U.S. bases are around the world. I mean, there's so many bases. There are bases in Korea. There's bases in Japan. There's bases all throughout Europe. There's hella bases in Germany. They got bases in the UK. They're occupied everything. Hawaii, the different islands, Puerto Rico. Okay, throughout the whole earth. They're in everybody's fucking business. And then when people fight back, they're, why are you fighting back? Why are you hitting me? Here it is, you done destroyed thousands of them. But see, we're in a time where, hey, the Lord is getting ready to take you Edomites down, man. Okay, he's getting ready to take the Edomites down.
And that, I think, is a huge risk to our forces in the region.
That is deeply, deeply concerning, especially because there's been a thought that these proxy groups were perhaps depleted in this moment. But if that is a plan, right, that is deeply...
No, they ain't depleted. He laughed at it. It was a thought that the proxy groups were depleted. Nah, the scriptures say, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. All right, so all the men that were dormant, or that are mighty men, the Most High is waking them up through these different actions. And these individuals that are born in these other countries, they are bred to hate America. They're bred to hate the West, and they would love to die for their country. Russia, they would love to die for their country. Mother Russia. You American, the scriptures say that the men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They remain in their holes. They become as women. You Americans, you not ready for that, man. You're not ready for them Russians. You're not ready for them Iranians. And you're going to get sent out there and you're going to die, man. You're not going to come back. Okay, it's going to be dead bodies everywhere. And you have dead bodies on the homeland, the home front too as well. Okay, so I'm done there. Let's read this. This is Ezekiel 34. I'm just kind of going to the point. Now, let me start at 2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Okay, and basically the Russians are in that land now. The actual sons of Japhet, with Gog, Meshech, Tubal, they're not in that land anymore. They got pushed out of that land. Okay, the Russians are now in that land. And say, thus said the Lord power. And you have, certain dispensationalists, certain so-called biblical scholars. Okay, certain theologians that actually say that Russia is Gog, that say Togomar is Turkey. They know Persia, Iran. Esau, he tried to change the prophecy. Okay, because the Persians, well, I believe they changed their name. I mean, it was early 1900s, maybe the 30s or the 40s or the 50s. They changed. They were known as the Persians. All right, their name was changed. Okay, to the Iranians. All right, and America had they overthrew and put a puppet up in Iran, but he was kicked out. And ever since then, they've been trying to get it back into Iran. And now it's just blatant. They're blatantly doing it. They blatantly told the whole world this is what they want to do. Regime change. They blatantly telling you that this is what they want to do, man. Okay? And as they do that, especially the small hat, they're starting to get they're starting to lose public flavor, where they didn't really have too much public flavor. Now they've been just destroying innocent people left and right. But this is the Edomite. And say, thus said the Lord power, behold, I'm against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Yeah, because ultimately Russia going to be destroyed too. It's an Edomite nation, which you got a lot of Israelites that are mingled within that land. And I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws. Yeah, when you put hooks in the jaw of a creature, it's there to control that creature. Like if you put a hook in the jaw of a fish, you caught a fish. Now you can control that fish now. If you have the power, you can control that fish. And I will bring thee forth in all thy army, horses and horsemen. Yeah, the Most High is going to bring Russia, the Russian military forth, and all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with buckler and shields, all of them handling swords. You're going to the Most High is going to galvanize the Russians to go and fight. He's going to activate all their nuclear arsenal. All right, he's going to be pointing missiles at the United States, at the land of Israel. Okay, because Russia is also condemning those Israelis. Okay, it says, "Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." Let's look at this word guard, and you're going to see as we read the company of nations in which Russia, which is a superpower that has more military might than the United States, especially when it comes to nuclear arsenal, okay? that they're going to guard particular nations. All right, and you're going to read Persia, okay, which is Iran, is going to be one of them. Ma-shamar. Okay. It says place, confinement, guard post, watch, guarding. Yeah, it basically just means to guard, to protect. Okay, so let's look at the nations that Russia's going to protect or be a guard unto. Through what? Through military might. Because America is going to think twice going into Iran, joining the war. Okay, if Russia gets involved, okay, just like Putin said, it's going to lead to catastrophe. I'm not sure if Putin said that or is one of his one of those a general or something like that high up in the military. Okay. After many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back. I'm sorry, I skipped the I might have skipped the verse. Slakia. Where am I? Yeah. So I completely skipped. I don't know how I did that. So let me read verse 4 again. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy armies, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sort of armor, even a great company with buckler and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, see, that's the main nation there. That's the first nation, Persia. Let's click on Persia. Parash, which means pure or splendid. Okay. The Persians. Who are the Persians today? Right, Persian today, this is the AI assist. Persians today are an Iranian ethnic group primarily residing in Iran. Okay. Let's do this. When did Iran change their name from Persia? Name of Iran. Historically, Iran was commonly referred to as Persia in the Western world. Likewise, the modern-day ethnonym Persia was typically used as a demonym for all Iranian regionals, regardless of whether or not they were ethnic Persians. Okay, it was in the 1930s, right? In the 1930s, steps began to be taken by Reza Shah to formalize the change in name from Persia to Iran. Yeah, and that was done, more likely the small hat. I'm not sure if that was the Shah that they put up in there, okay? Because you had different revolutions, but the puppet, I forget, the history on that, but more than likely it was to try to change the prophecy, but you can't change the prophecy, okay? Paras. All right, so it says Persia, Ethiopia is going to be there, Libya is going to be there with them. So it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. All of them with shields and helmets, right? They're military force. All right, more than likely they're going to have, Russia's going to put military bases with nuclear weapons in those lands. Okay. Ethiopia, Libya, that's in Africa. And Russia is in Africa. Russia has allied with particular African nations. Gomer in all his bands, the house of Togomar, which is known as Turkey, of the north quarters in all his bands, and many people with them. Be thou prepared and prepare thyself. See, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. See, be a guard unto Persia. Okay, right? See, Russia warns U.S. against military intervention in Iran-Israel war. You see that? Let's go to Matthew 24. Yahushua warned us of these things. Matthew 24, And start at 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. You have people actually saying that they are the Messiah, and then you also have people saying that they're the anointed. Because that's what the Christ, that's what Christ means. It means anointed, meaning they've been anointed from the Most High, okay, to, be your, give me a second, to give you salvation. Okay, Esau's doing that through his technology too. You got false Israelite groups, right? And they're going to deceive many, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So we know that the end is not completely yet, because we know that there's certain other things that have to take place, like the MOTB. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. See that? So we're coming into the beginning of sorrows. The people are going to be taken by surprise. The Edomites going to be taken by surprise. Everybody's about to get kicked off that high horse. The Lord's going to start to address the proud people of the earth. So I'm going to close it there until next time. Shalom to the elect.